struggling to get your personal or professional life together? Does it sometimes feel like you're floating by without direction? You're not alone. There's a lot to juggle, and it can be overwhelming sometimes. But don't worry. Life Coaching Today can help you get clarity and develop a plan to start living the life you want. At Life Coaching Today, we have made it our mission to help you change your life. With our free 30-minute discovery call, one of our certified and experienced coaches will help figure out what is holding you back and work with you to create a plan to transform your life. And once you book a coaching call with us, you'll receive a gift basket worth $500 to help support you on your journey of change. Take back control of your life. Book a free 30-minute discovery call with one of our coaches today.
Hey everyone, good morning, good morning, good morning. I have no idea what day it is except for it's Thursday, but it's December 7th. Yep, I had to look down at 2023. Isn't that commercial fun? Hey y'all, I am Kiddada Grey, conflict coach, CEO of Transform Living and all other things political, social justice oriented, and people lover of people, right? All of those kind of things. I am, full disclosure, not feeling my best this morning. The summers are wonderful for me. I am at 1,500% during the winter. I am not, and it is catching up with me. I suffer from seasonal affective disorder and fibromyalgia, and this change in weather in Georgia. I feel like we are on a roller coaster. We are 29 one day, 65 the next day. So on the desk of Kiddada, I've got a Halls. I'm drinking tea and with one of my favorite coffee mugs and one of my favorite gifts I've ever received. ATL to SKB, and the SKB is St. Kitts Bastille, standing for St. Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean, my home and my family's home. So welcome for joining me this morning. I know it's mad early in the morning, but guess what? Grab your coffee, turn me on, go get dressed, scramble the eggs, eat your breakfast, whatever you got to do. This is an exciting show today. We actually have Carol Boston on, who is a fantastic business coach. She is one of the cover chicas, cover women, who is also on Life Coaching Today with me. So she was a cover girl, as they say. Excuse me, everyone. She was also one of the top 10, 21 coaches, business coaches, in America, stated that, given that wonderful title by Yahoo Finance. So I can't wait to talk to her. But let's talk about some news things that have occurred, I think, over the last time I saw you last week. Seems like it's been forever. But main story, George Santos was booted out of Congress. Finally. And if you don't know the George Santos story, he ran for office as a Republican, part of Long Island, New York area, down in that lower area of New York, and won. He checked all of the boxes. He was all of the things to every political person. I mean, he was Jewish. He made claims that his mother had died in 9/11. He claimed that he was like a multi-millionaire, like he worked for like some of the big finance companies. I mean, he was the perfect candidate on paper. As a political consultant, I can tell you he checked every box for the perfect candidate. And come to find out, he lied. And he lied about almost everything. We think his name is George Santos, I think. But his mom was not a part of 9/11. She had actually passed away in Brazil many years prior. And it's just sad. And then they discovered that through his financial misgivings, that guess what? Well, well, he was spending a lot of his money on not kind of savory things, like money on, I don't know, like finance misgivings, meaning doing things like, how do I want to say? Like, don't go on to OnlyFans and use donated money from donors, because that's kind of sleazy. Just kind of, but there's all these finance laws, but he's been finally booted out of Congress. Yay, yay, yay. And he's keeping the scandal going because guess what? He is saying that he is now for sure going to drop all the names of individual men that are in Congress that are secretly gay. It's just too much. Politics right now, I'm like, can't we just get the work done? We need to make sure that people have food, have shelter, have all the social services that we need to keep our families um, alive, healthy, happy, whole, certain things. But the drama continues. The other thing I want to talk about, I'm trying to think about what it was that I was like, oh, like last night, I had a really good day yesterday. And every once in a while, I always thinking about, like I'm living my life here. What is occurring on other sides of the world, or even in a state over, or, a town over. And last night, pulled my phone out just for a hot second and went, wait a minute. There was a shooting at University of Las Vegas, UNLV. I think that's what the acronym is. Um, UNLV. Is that Las Vegas? Yes, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And I was like, what? Like, how does this happen? What are we doing, people? What are we doing? And so find out that three people have died. May they rest in peace. And I can't even imagine what their families are going through. So condolences to their family members. But it was a former college professor. He had ties to Georgia. So, as someone who's living in Georgia, I'm wondering what school was he at? And then, of course, he was over there at that university. And I don't know what broke him to get to that space. I don't know. I'm still kind of searching in my mind if I am in agreement that you have to have mental, like you are mentally ill if you are going to do a mass shooting. And I don't know if that there's a definition for mass shooting, and I'm not too sure if that actually falls to that or not. So just kind of crazy, but I will say this, that we are still coming out of COVID. Everyone might not realize that, but COVID has not been declared extinct. It has not gone away. And so, but COVID was really isolating for people. It changed the dynamics to how we work, the way that we work, the way that we interact with others. If there was any other time in this world where people realized, oh, we need other people, that was during COVID. And then coming out of COVID, that we started going back in and people lost jobs, and it's just been a whole mood of things. So, but get a coach, people, get someone to talk to. Don't isolate yourself. And that's hard to say because isolation also feels kind of comfortable. But it can be extremely unhealthy because your mind will play tricks on you. You may not understand the world that we're living in through your depression or your unhappiness. And, the mind will create all kinds of stories. So, segue into that because on the bookshelf of Kiddada, and like I said, I am a reader, right? And I need you all to start reading. The average person after they leave university only reads about like 3 books in their lifetime after university. I can't live in that space. I have the brain that I need knowledge, whether it's in business, whether it's in my personal life, hanging out with friends, or just simply out of curiosity. And so in that space of not being isolated, not having friendships, not feeling like, oh, I don't need anybody. Because studies are showing now that people are lonely in the United States. I don't know about all over the world, but in the United States, people are lonely. One of my favorite books that I got at Goodwill, just randomly. It's called Never Eat Alone. by Keith Ferrazzi. And I don't know what caught my attention about this, but I was like, I had to have it. Maybe it was the color of the jacket because it's bright orange. But it says how to build a lifelong community of colleagues, contacts, friends, and mentors. And I love this book because I don't believe that we are supposed to be alone in this world. We are meant to have relationship, be in relationship. All those people that are like, no, I don't need anyone. Forgive the way I'm going to say this, but y'all are a hot damn lie. We need people, and we need people in business. And we're going to talk to Carol about that a little bit more. We need people in our personal relationships. And I don't mean boyfriend, girlfriend, even though those are nice to have. But we just need a crew, right? I'm of the age range where we call them crew members. So Keith is one of my favorites. And he also, I mean, like you see on my little tabbies and stuff, because I tab stuff. I'm one of those people. But it is important for us to be in a relationship because we learn from others. We learn from others. We get to vent to others if necessary. And we can actually see a new lens of the world through other people. Because how else are we supposed to grow, excuse me. And so that is one of my favorite books, Never Eat Alone. He also wrote the books How to Win Friends and Influence People. So I still haven't gotten all of the trilogy, but fantastic. This teaches you how to, I swear I'm like doing like a whole sell on this book because it's an older book. It really is, but teaches you how to get a mentor, teaches you how to build community, and then kind of dispels the myths of you can have it all, that stuff. But how do you? Why do you? And talks about like, like the Dalai Lama and some of my favorite people like Bill Clinton and how do they do that? Because I promise you one thing, your network is your wealth. That's for a friend of mine. Network is your wealth, whether it's spiritually, emotionally. That is true. And we are going to get ready to do the opening, and we're going to go live in a few seconds with Carol Boston. So to my fantastic producer, you're on.
Welcome to Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Grey.
Good morning, Carol. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I am awesome. How are you? Thank you for being up early with me this morning.
Is nothing. I love the mornings. I'm up early all the time. I was just trying to stream this to my Facebook page. I wanted to get it to my audience too, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, mine's not working either. Technical difficulties again. We'll figure it out. We'll get the link and we'll share it so it can go on your page and my page. I don't know what's going on, but technology. So you were doing something fascinating this morning. You are cat sitting. Is that the new job that you're taking over? Is this what's going on here?
Can you see? Wait a minute. Can you see him back there a little bit? Let me see if I can bring him. Hold on.
Okay, we want to bring the kitty up here. Yeah, new job for Carol, and Carol has had 5 million jobs. Oh my gosh, I was like, oh my goodness, look at him. Oh,
he's a rescue. Look at the camera, baby. This is Teddy, the purebred Persian, who's a rescue.
Teddy. Why did I think Teddy was a blanket? Teddy. I was like, is he wrapped in a blanket? Oh, Teddy is so cute. Teddy is
actually, I've done quite a bit of dog sitting. This was my first cat sitting job, which I love because I've always owned cats. I've never owned dogs, but dogs really like me. And after I sold my house back in 2019, this has really afforded me the opportunity to stay in lots of places in South Florida so that I can figure out when I want to buy my next house, where it's going to be.
Yes. Okay.
So right now I'm on Hendricks Isle, which is east of downtown Fort Lauderdale on the water. Absolutely gorgeous.
Oh.
In an apartment. Teddy's mom is in Morocco on an 11-day vacation with her daughter.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. I like that. I like that. I like that. So everyone meet the fantabulous Carol Boston, obviously now dog sitter, cat sitter, doing all of the things. And she is one of my favorite people. She is a coach on Life Coaching Today. And so, but does her own coaching thing. I can't even tell you, I read the bio and I was like, tell me more, right? So I'm going to say you started your career as an athlete. Tell me
I
about being an athlete, because I'm a former athlete. So what did you do? What did that look like?
I grew up between two brothers,
Okay.
very competitive household. The first things I learned were how to play football, baseball, and basketball.
All right.
And my dad threw me on a ball team when I was 5, and they kicked me off because they said I was too little. So when I was 7, he put me back on. And when I look back, I was in a very intensive leadership program last year. And one of the things that came into my awareness from that is that I've always been an individual contributor who loves being a part of a team.
Mm.
So from 7th grade on, playing softball to 6th grade. Now think about this, Kiddada, Louisiana in the Deep South, 1971. I didn't know I was breaking rules. I just wanted to
Right.
play ball. I wanted to play ball.
Mm-hmm.
I was the first girl to play Little League hardball with the boys, played shortstop.
Yay. I
Um,
love it.
my mama was not happy because, in the Deep South, there are rules, both spoken and unspoken, about how little girls are supposed to behave. And
That's
that was one.
right.
But I
That's
was very fortunate. I had my dad on the sidelines like, go, Carol, right?
right.
Fast forward to I was 13. And one day my dad said, let's go play tennis. And I literally said, what's that? He goes, oh, it's kind of like swinging a baseball bat. You can do it. Let's go try. So I
Okay.
did. After 30 minutes, I walked up, put the racket down in front of the net, looked at my dad and said, don't you ever ask me to do this again. You just brought me out
Oh.
here. You brought me out here to embarrass me.
Oh, wow.
Didn't come natural at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
fast forward 2 years later, I'm on the swim team, and I began to notice that my friends on the swim team, in between swim team practices, we did 2-a-days, would go down and play tennis. Well, there came that competitive nature, right? If they can do it, I can do it.
Right.
We didn't have money for me to have a coach. As a matter of fact, through my entire career, both at LSU on scholarship and a professional, never had a private coach. But what I did know is that my brain was a sponge. And so I got this old John McEnroe Dunlop racket, and I went and sat on the side of the court and listened to the pro teach the other kids.
Ah.
And
Oh.
I thought, and I want you to think about this in business, because you just talked about your network is your net worth, right? After listening to this coach, I thought, if I can get the kids who are much better than me to play with me, I'll get better.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was very blessed. I got on the high school team and I played number 6. Only the top 6 get to play singles. Now, it was such a blessing because the other 5 girls on the team all came from money. They all came from the country club. They all
Yep.
came from the country club. They all had the same private coach, and they were all really good.
Yeah.
So this private coach took a liking to me. Now, he didn't coach me privately, but what he would do, Kiddada, and I want y'all to think about this when you were talking earlier about find a mentor, right? He'd
Mm-hmm.
call me up and he'd say, hey, Carol, I'm going to help Lauren practice her forehand today. You want to come return forehands? Well, of course,
Yes. Of
right?
course.
And I'll never forget one day he was coaching Kay McDaniel. At that time, she was in the top 10 in the world professionally. She too had gone to LSU. And it was the wintertime, and he calls me up. He goes, I have an indoor court, and Kay's going to be practicing her serve. You want to come return serve? I'm like, heck yeah. So off I go. Kiddada. By the time I got home, my mother looked at me and says, what's wrong with you? I had bruises. She hit the ball so hard. She was like 6 She was 6'2". Indoor courts are very fast, and I was determined to stay inside the baseline. Like today, a lot of times you see the people, I don't know how much you know about tennis, but
Yeah.
they'll stand way behind the baseline to return serve. I was determined.
Yeah.
I was bruised, right? So I remember my dad coming to me as a junior in high school. He says, now, Carol, you need to get a job or get an academic scholarship. I can't send you to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, but Dad, I'm going to get a tennis scholarship. And he stared down his nose at me and he looked at me and he said, young lady, like I said, get a job
Get a job.
or get an academic scholarship. Now, I tell you this is an important piece because I chose to trust in someone else's vision for me until I could believe it for myself.
Yes. Yes.
And Coach Lee Hedges the high school coach believed that I could do it. So in the end, I got offered 3 full scholarships. They were to schools that were not my first choice.
Mm-hmm.
I got offered a half scholarship to my LSU Fighting Tigers.
Yes, I love it.
And my doubles partner was going there. And so I went and I took out a student loan and off I went.
All right.
Guess what happened? I got to play number 6 again, which was fine because everybody else was better than me. So at the end of my freshman year, when everybody else was taking the summer off, I hitched rides. You're going to die. This was back in the day when it was safe enough to hitch rides, right?
Right. Don't do that now, people. Don't do that now. Don't do that now. Please don't. Okay.
Remember that? Oh, I don't know how old you are. I'm much older than you, but remember that old song, Ride, 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 Hitching a Ride? You probably don't. You're too young.
I'm like, no.
I think it's probably from the 70s. But anyway, a gentleman named Steve, who was on the men's team, he and I got together and we hitched rides and we played on what was called in the time, the 21 and under tour. It was the last tour before going pro.
Okay.
And the key is if you could be a seeded player in the top 16, you got free housing. So that was our goal. As long as we were seeded, we were in. So we did the tour that summer and came back to tryouts in August. One of the things I teach my clients is how to become a professional athlete in your business.
Oh, I like it.
So when I came back in August to tryouts, all of the same, I call them girls, young ladies, were on the team, and we had one new freshman out of Canada. She was a hoot. But anyway, that's another story. I went from playing number 6 to number 2. And by the end of that semester, I played number 1, and I never looked back. And I became team captain for 3 years and played number 1. And what I teach my clients out of that, you see, that summer, they all took the summer off. All of these girls had been playing since they were 5. I didn't start till I was 15. And I teach my clients that sometimes you get to work when other people are resting.
You are preaching this morning.
You get to practice. You get to work when other people are resting. It doesn't mean you never take a vacation. Right. And that propelled me. And I then went on to play professional tennis. I was never, number 1, 2, or 3, or 5, or even the top 100, to be honest with you. But I made enough money to pay my way. And then through a series of injuries, I quit playing tennis. But you asked a little bit about athletics, and that's how I got there. One of the other things I teach my clients, the first step a professional athlete takes is they show up every day, no matter what they feel like.
Right.
So often, especially with entrepreneurs, it's like, I don't feel like it today. You don't get to make a decision based on emotions. You get to make a business decision, right?
Carol, that's not nice. That's not. Some of us are tired, Carol. Some of us are tired. Before you go on, though, I want to say this, that you had my brain going, thinking about a lot of skills, right? That people who are taking the next step. And I know that you really teach a lot of women, right? But these skills are applicable to men and women, right? I just want to say that, because guess what? Gentlemen, when it's a woman to woman, we have different conversations, the life we understand, the life that we lead, in our own challenges. But that doesn't mean that we don't coach men. So I heard the skill of being innovative, right? Now you were traveling, you were thinking strategically around how is it that I can get to point A to point B, whether it's get to the free housing, how do I get to work, do this, whatever it is I need to do to get it strategically to the next step, right? Yes. I like the idea of even listening, and people don't understand how important listening is, just to sit and absorb what is going around you. Like I tell people, I walk into spaces, I sit down and I just observe and I listen. Because not only do you get to learn the power players, you get to hear a lot of things about what's going on. And that allows you to find out where you can plug in your own business needs, where the shortfalls are, who the power players are. So I love that. And then just that idea of, it resonated with me so much when you said you decided to trust someone else's vision for you until you got there yourself. Like I was on I reached out to a friend. He reached out to me actually, and we connected, and we have been friends for over 20 something years. We're not the type of friends that talk all the time. And he told me way back when in 1990 something, Kiddada, your voice needs to be heard and you need to be coaching. And I was just like, I just don't know if I could do that. It didn't fit at the time. And so I just want to tell everyone, sometimes the dreams that we're supposed to do don't fit at the moment. And so, but I have been on the slow journey to achieve all of the skills I needed, learn them, execute them, perfect them. Perfect. I don't live in the space of perfect, and then arrive here, right? I would never have thought like I would have been doing all this and talking at 7:00 in the morning and talking to Carol Boston, who goes by, I love this. You empower women to rise up being the lioness leaders they were created to be. Why did you come up with that title? I love that title.
Because one of the things I experienced is in 2014, it was in the summer of 2014, and I thought I had it made, Kiddada. 26 years, corporate sales, Fortune 100 companies, walked the stages, got the awards, sold $70 million in revenue. I could do this in my sleep. I thought I had it made, right?
Yeah.
Then I got this phone call, and they told me they were cutting my territory by 80%. And I said,
oh, wow.
80%? I've been building this territory for 6.5 years.
Wow.
Now, someone kept whispering in my ear, they're setting you up to fail. They're setting you up to fail. Now, let me tell you a little something weird about me. I loved large corporate structure, and I was a rule follower. Not true for most salespeople in corporate America.
Yep.
Now, this friend also told me about an opportunity at a really small company. Now, I worked for large Fortune 100 companies, but I thought, well, I don't know what I don't know. So off I went on this interview. 2 interviews later, they offered me this job, doubled my base salary plus commissions, and they gave me my first director title. I could just see the potential, right? So there I was 6 weeks into the job, and I was on vacation. I negotiated that in my contract. We'd already paid for the vacation. If you've never been to the world's largest hot air balloon festival in Albuquerque, New Mexico, bucket list.
Okay, adding that to the list.
Every October, it's amazing.
Okay.
So I was doing what I knew at the time. What does Maya Angelou teach us? When we learn better, we do better.
Yep. When we learn better, we do better. Yep.
At the time, what I knew is I was staying in touch with my boss, the CEO, while I was on vacation. I got an email asking my opinion for something. So I replied right back, and I waited because he usually replies right back, and he didn't. So we went out, we enjoyed our day. We came in after dinner and drinks. Ding, there goes my phone. Carol Boston, you've got mail. And here's what it said. I'll never forget. Carol, comma, that's what you really think? And then it had 5 question marks behind it.
Oh.
Then it said, do not come into this office on Monday. When your vacation is over, you are done here.
Oh, wow.
I looked at my girlfriend and I said, did I just get fired?
Oh, wow. Wow.
I don't get fired.
Right.
And she looked at me and she goes, in an email for an opinion you were asked for.
And on vacation.
And on vacation, right?
And on vacation, yeah.
So here's the thing. I live in Florida, and Florida is an at-will state.
Yeah.
So in my mind, never having been in this position, I thought, well, I guess I can get fired for anything. And I did not go back and advocate for myself. This is in 2014. So one of the things I say about women is I help them know their value, which I didn't, own their power, which I did not, and advocate for themselves, which I did not.
Yep.
And I see the importance, and it's critical that women do those 3 things. I mean, the number one challenge today for women in leadership is what? They don't advocate for themselves. They don't ask. Now, there are some men that have that challenge too, but that particular challenge is really, really big for women and women in leadership. Now, I came back and I had an interview the very next day.
Okay.
I was flown all over this country for so long, I won't even tell you. Some companies flew me cross country 3 and 4 times, paid airfare, paid hotel, crickets.
Yeah.
And I thought, how ironic that I could sell $70 million worth of revenue for somebody else, and I can't close a deal to get myself a job.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I spent my entire 401k looking for a job.
Wow.
Now, faith is my foundation. That's where I go. So in my prayer time, I was basically yelling at God. I was, look, you created me. You know I'm not cut out to be an entrepreneur. I do not want to own my own business. Can you please help me get a job?
Right.
Well, my God.
We need to pause for a second and just say, the Lord and I have had some conversations, and I know out there, if you're spiritual, if you have faith, whoever you're talking to, I'm sure those have not been polite conversations all the time. And it's not praise all the time. It is literally frustration. Like,
Yes.
what in the world? I understand, sister. I understand.
Yep.
So I do want to say something though, because you have a Southern upbringing, and that comes with, you know, a certain politeness. I grew up with a space of women that, my great great grandmother was of the Queen Victoria era in the Caribbean. So, and Queen Victoria was the woman who laid the foundation for what and how a woman was supposed to behave, right? And I say that because that thought process of women's behavior permeated the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that gave us as women that foundation of following rules. I love a good rule. Learning to break them, have broken them in little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
But one of the main things though, is that idea of breaking the rule and getting outside of that box that we've been put in, that we've actually bought into as women, right? That idea of, well, if you do A, B, C, D rules, you will be fine. And we know that that does not always occur, because when it falls apart, we have no idea what to do. We don't what is that saying when they say, like, oh, I can't even remember. It's too early. About women who behave and they're not the ones. Break the rules, girls. Break the rules. Take all the pushback. Take all the fuss, because, like you said, you have to advocate for you. And tell me something, as an entrepreneur, I don't know, I think I've been in the entrepreneur space for 6 years. And I have been different iterations or different businesses. Good morning, Richard, JR. I see you, love. Good morning, Kevin.
Hi, guys.
What does that look like? Give me 3 hints of things. Like you so I'm going to say 4, but you already gave me 1, right? Which is show up every day. Show up every day.
No matter
right?
what you feel like.
No matter. Okay, girl. Not put that. Let's not put that over there. And Kevin said, well-behaved women seldom make history, and we want to be history makers, right? Also forgot, Sandra Day O'Connor passed away. May she rest in peace. Change women's lives every day. So we have the show up every day, regardless of how you're feeling. Carol, we're going to have to talk offline about that, but that's all right. So go ahead. Go ahead with the other 3. Give us some other tips.
Well, the second one I gave you is sometimes you get to practice when everybody else is resting.
Yes. Okay.
So we don't get to begrudge what other people are doing.
Okay. Good one.
And how can I say this? I tell people sometimes, don't judge my book by the chapter you walked in on.
Girl, let's wait. Ooh, Lord, let's pause right there on that one, because they don't know the whole book.
Listen, I could tell you a story of sleeping on an air mattress on a floor 10 feet from rats. And people thought my business was successful because I never gave them any other clue.
Right.
I told this story to one lady, and she goes, this was a few years ago, and she goes, but you're so confident. I said, I am. And she said, then you're so good. And I said, I am. And I said, there's a song that keeps popping on my Sirius XM station. The station's called The Message. That's a whole funny Max and Janetta story, Jones, about that.
Okay.
And one of the things it says is, I would have never chosen this path, but if this is the road you're taking me on, God, I'll stay on this desert road.
That's right.
Because I've been on a desert road.
That's right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so the third thing I would tell you is that you get to trust in the process and just take the next step. I believe God only gave me a lamplight for my feet because my job is just to take the next step.
Yep.
And I'll tell you right now, if God had showed me this whole picture back in 2014, you and I wouldn't be talking. I'd have quit. There is no way.
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Another thing I would tell you is often people complain about, I run into a brick wall, right? Or I feel like, oh man, I'm still climbing the mountain.
Yep.
Here's what I say to that. The brick wall wasn't put there to stop you. The brick wall is put there to see who wants it bad enough to figure out how to go over the wall or get around it. And is that you?
Okay.
And you want the mountain to be smooth. If the mountain was smooth, you couldn't climb it. There's crevices and rocks sticking out and so that you can grab a handhold. And if you're lucky, you've got someone in front of you with a hand out to pull you up, or you got someone in the back pushing your butt up that mountain, because nobody does it alone.
Right. So I'm going to challenge you on the last one.
Okay.
Because and I agree with you. And then I have a part B to that. So when we say a closed door, right? The closed door, there is a belief that sometimes that wall or the closed door is actually God's protection of you, because you're not supposed to be on the other side. How do you think that, two-part question, how do you think we as coaches can teach that? And then how do you think the person receive it, our clients, how do we get them to understand that? Like, that may not be for you. Like, stop going up this mountain and you're still falling down and you're bruising yourself, you're getting your feelings hurt, you're not making any money, or you're not bringing any clients. How do we do that for the coaching perception or perspective, and then from the clients receiving that? How do we distinguish those two things?
I'm going to talk about the clients first.
All right. And
the people who follow me have heard me say this in a couple of ways. Oftentimes, people are holding on so tightly to what they think is theirs that their hands aren't open to receive all that God and the universe have to give them.
Okay.
Another way to look at that is you're holding on so tightly to yesterday's blessings, you're going to miss today's miracles.
Ooh.
So I'm known as the Queen of Reframing. I teach and train on empowering questions, how to get the answers that you really want. And with my clients, not only do I ask empowering questions, I help them set the intention for what they want and then create empowering questions around that. So one of the things I was going to tell you, I don't have time to finish that other story, but my next book is going to be called You Can't Read the Label When You're Inside the Jar. And we're all in the jar.
We are all in the jar. Carol, you were on fire this morning.
But I tell my clients, I can read your label and I can help you write a new label so you can throw an anchor into your future and let go of that story that's holding you in the past. So one of the most powerful of all empowering questions is, what else is possible today? What else is possible today? So that's the first place I take my clients when, like you said, they're beating their head against a brick wall. I didn't mean to say that every closed door you have to battle against it.
Right.
Sometimes it's there for a purpose. And yes, that purpose can be to move you in a different direction. And what empowering questions do, they allow you to bring in new awarenesses into your jar. When you craft them correctly and you set the intention, what you're doing is you're telling God and the universe, I'm open to hearing, seeing, saying, or doing something I've never thought of before. And there's specific ways to craft them. Right. So, and like I say, I teach and train on that. But that one, if people took that and said, what else is possible today?
What else is possible today?
And they're open. Wow. They're open.
Yeah.
You can't be, oh, no, I don't like that. Or, oh, no. Because when we think we know, we narrow the possibilities.
True.
Empowering questions open the door to limitless possibilities. They create what I call oftentimes Oprah aha moments. I'm sure you've had a time, Kiddada, where you went, oh my God, I never thought about that before.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Something new just came into your jar. So with my clients, let's just say they're frustrated, they're struggling. I want to do this. It isn't working. We can begin to learn how to, I take a term from sailboating. It's called tacking. Right? And I teach my clients how to tack. And part of tacking is using empowering questions. So they could ask the question, what one thing, because they're specific, that I'm not doing today because they're time bound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That if I were to do it would give me the exact result that I want.
Mm-hmm.
And they go right back to doing what they're doing because they don't have the answer inside their jar yet. Your job is not to sit around and figure them out.
Mm.
I could tell you, do we have time for a couple of client stories?
Sure. We've got time.
So one of the things about empowering questions is that they never, ever, ever start with the word why, ever. Why brings in defensiveness, which brings
Mm-hmm.
in the ego, which brings in
Mm-hmm.
emotions. And
Right.
when emotions go up, intelligence goes down, right? True for every human being.
Yep.
So I got two quick examples of that. One, back in 2018, I had an office and I had a client. She started with me. And the first time she came, she was right on time. Second time, she was a little bit late. Then she was later. Then by the fourth time, it was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So she comes in my office. I'm known as the shake your hand, give you a hug girl. So I gave her a big hug and I sat her down and I said, get out your pen and paper. We can't miss this coaching opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we typically don't jump in like that. So she kind of looked at me funny. I said, I'm serious. So the first thing I had her to write down is how I do anything is how I do everything.
Yep.
Now, we often don't want to hear that, right? Because, oh, no, I only do this over here.
Right.
That's because our awareness isn't open.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing I had her write down, and if you're listening in the audience, you might want to write this down. I said to her, where else in your life are you not showing up for you?
Ooh, child.
And
That's a
she
whole
said,
other show. That's a whole other show.
She said, yeah, she said, what? And I said, write it down. I said, you pay me in advance for my time. I'm not giving you money back. And I'm not going to give you extra time because I have a schedule that I keep.
Mm-hmm.
So she wrote it down. And she says, is that my homework for the week? I said, honey, that's your homework ad nauseum. I want it on your refrigerator, on your dashboard, on your mirror, in your shower. Your job, if you take it on, is to set the intention, ask this out loud at least 6 times a day to God in the universe and go right back to what you're doing. Will you do that? And she said, yes.
Mm.
So a few weeks go by. She said she was being consistent. I said, great. And one day we're sitting there in our coaching session and her eyes get really big and she goes, oh my God. I said, what? She said, that's another place I'm not showing up for me.
Mm.
As she began to have these awarenesses coming into her jar from asking this empowering question, we began to replace the habits and principles that were no longer serving her with good leadership and business principles and habits. She doubled the income in her business in 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Now, most people would have done what? Why are you always late?
Right.
And she'd have done what? She would have tried to defend her position.
Mm-hmm.
There would have been no growth.
Conversation.
Yes, there would have been no growth and no awarenesses.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's just one. Another compelling one is, as a matter of fact, when I tell this, I've had 3 women recently say, you've got to teach a master class for parents and their kids on how to communicate effectively. So
Yes.
when I was
we don't have time for that today.
No, not today. Do we have time for one more story or are we good?
Yes, please do. Please do.
One more. So I was in 7th grade and I had gotten 5 A's and a B on my report card. And I was so excited. I couldn't wait for my dad to come home. So my dad comes home and he looks at my report card. He looks down his nose at me and he says, now, Carol, why'd you get a B? What do you think I did? I got defensive. I go, but dad, I got 5 A's.
Right.
He paused and he looked down his nose at me again. He said, that is not what I asked you. Why'd you get a B? Then I used my older brother as my defense. I go, but David got 2 C's and a D. All right.
Exactly.
I thought I had it.
Deflect.
I thought I had it made, right? He looks at me and here's what he said. He goes, we expect a lot more out of you, young lady. Now, how I heard that, the story I created as a child was what? That I had to be perfect to earn love. Mm-hmm. It impacted every area of my life. Over give, over deliver in relationships, not getting my needs met. Became a workaholic in corporate America, almost destroyed my health twice.
Right.
Trying to earn until I learned, as the queen of reframe, to reframe that. Yep. But what if my dad had asked me an empowering question instead of one that shamed me and put me on the defensive? If he had said, Carol, what one thing, remember they're specific, right, could you do differently next semester because they're time bound to improve upon that grade? You and I wouldn't even be sitting here talking today. I'd had a completely different life, totally different conversation. And when you empower the other person to come up with the answer, they are way more likely to do it.
That's correct. Whew. I'm looking at the time. I'm like at 7:45. We could do this all day. All day. I'm learning so much. I hope that everyone listening is learning as well. And like I said, we are going to share this. We're going to get this clip and we're going to share it out because this needs to be said. This needs to be heard. And I'm reflecting. So everyone, please put this in your toolkit. Be a person of reflection.
Yes.
Think, sit, think about who you are, why you behave the way that you do. Think about your hurts. Why? And I know Carol said don't do that, but if you're personally doing it, you have to get over your own hurdles, right? We have the answers. Part of that empowering thing is that we actually have the answers. And I always say that sometimes the reason we can't move to A to Z or A to M is simply because we need in partnership, right? We need someone else to give us the tools, give us a different vision, help us achieve a different outcome. And also sometimes it's just a listening, because I truly believe in practicing talking out loud. Because the more you talk out loud, you're like, wait a minute, did I just say that? Did I just say that? We are coming into the holiday season, or I guess we are in the holiday season now. And do I want people to have community? Yes, I do. Do I want people to break bread? Yes, I do. However, I don't want anyone to put down their dreams and wait until January 1st. Don't wait. Our dreams start every day. I still remember as a little girl in Detroit, Michigan, kindergarten, and I read early, people, so don't judge me. So
Me too.
I was that overachiever, and I actually taught myself how to read with assistance of my mommy. She was actually surprised that I knew how to read. But can I just say I was so extra that this is the time where it was like morning kindergarten and after kindergarten. So you got to choose, right? So you could only go in the morning or in the afternoon. Well, I told my mother that I needed to be there all day. Because one, I had discovered hot cross buns, and Caribbean people, I was like, wait, hot cross buns? But then the other thing is my teacher from LaGrange, Georgia, her name was, actually, she wasn't from LaGrange. She had a little placard that said in the kindergarten classroom that said, today is the first day of the rest of your life. I am 48 years old. That means 43 years ago, 45 years ago, I read that and it has stuck with me. And I need everyone to know today is the first day for the rest of your life. Every day we get a new opportunity. We have new beginnings. We have new choices to make. And we don't have to get stuck. You don't have to get stuck. Even though, honestly, I'm going to say being stuck sometimes actually feels good, but that's a whole other coaching session, why that feels good for people. But the point is to keep moving. One day, one step, as our good friend Max and Janetta Jones says. And I am going to wrap, and I will see you all next week.
May I share one thing that's just really?
I want Carol to share. Go ahead.
When you said about asking why, you said we get to ask that of ourselves. I'm going to challenge you that you're not going to get that answer. So instead of saying, why do I keep doing this? I'm going to encourage your audience to ask, what one thing that I'm unaware of today is compelling me to repeat this behavior? You put that out to God in the universe, you go right back to what you're doing. Trust me, you're going to eventually have your Oprah, like, oh my God, I didn't even realize I was doing that. Or I didn't even realize that's what was compelling me. Like, I didn't know that conversation with my dad compelled me to be a workaholic, compelled me to try to earn love. Right. So that's, I would encourage that.
That's a challenge. I like that. But like I said, I'm a little extra. So I'm like, I know the reason why I say stuff. I do stuff. I just may not say it aloud. That's the difference.
Yeah.
But there's something there. I like it. I see that I have Miss Zora has come out of her crate. We're going to talk about that later. So
okay.
That's the doggy. She decided she was going to release herself, apparently. And so we are going to have a joyous day today. We are going to reflect on what Carol Boston has shared of us, the queen of reframe. I love it. I love it. I love it. In Yoruba, it is all you. Thank you all for joining. And I will see you all next week. Thank you, Carol, for being on. Thank you, Kitty Cat, who looks like a blanket. Love it.
His coat is so silky. It's incredible.
Oh gosh, I love it. I need a kitty cat.
Yeah.
I love it. So I think we might play another commercial and then go into closing. But you know where to find us, lifecoachingtoday.com. You can find Carol or myself, or hit us up on Facebook on We'll Get Better with all the social medias and stuff like that. You know, this tech world is a whole beast, you all. So we're getting better. So till next time, everyone, till next time.
One of the biggest challenges for coaches, practitioners, and hypnotherapists is getting clients. As coaches ourselves, we know how difficult it is on social media to stand out and gain credibility. That is why at Life Coaching Today, we connect coaches like you with clients. It all starts with our directory, where it's possible to create a profile that gets the right exposure with over 12,000 hits a month. You can gain credibility by writing for Life Coaching Today magazine, add videos, be interviewed on our podcasts, teach classes in the community, and sell your products directly from our website. Not to mention, we actually connect clients who are actively searching for coaches who can best serve them. So if you are struggling to get clients, have Life Coaching Today help you get more clients. Go to lifecoachingtoday.com.
Thank you for watching Life Coaching Today Presents, hosted by Kiddada Grey and produced by Aruba Saad. Our mission at Life Coaching Today is to empower your health, business, community, and life. Check us out at lifecoachingtoday.com. Everyone here at the True Awesome Network would like to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and spread awesome.